of being your state senator for almost 8 years now. And come here today to humbly ask you to accept me again for 4 more years and see if we can get some more things done. A little bit about my background: grew up in Anderson and Hamilton, both lifelong resident of Madison County, with the exception of 3 years. Lived in Independence, Missouri from 90 to 93. My background was accounting and computer science, and that took me through the first 7 years of my career. And then I got the opportunity to come back home and be a State Farm insurance agent here in Anderson. And lucky enough to office with my father, Larry Gaskill, who is here tonight, and also State Farm agent. We're not sure if he's going to be a long-termer or not. He's only got 63 years in, so there's a lot on that. All 3 of my adult children have worked for me at one time or another. One still does. I've got 2 a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law working in business. Been at it for 33 years. Always been kind of a political nerd, and have local offices, South Madison Community Schools, which is the Pendleton, Markleville, Eagles, southern part of the county. I was on the school board and served a term as president of the school board. Was on the county council, and then joined the state senate. So I've always tried to be pretty transparent. It's rough to for people to come and listen to political candidates. Sometimes we're almost as much fun as watching the paint dry on the wall. But I want to thank the Tea Party. You guys have been at this now for a long time. I think of our good friend Danny Hayes, who many of you may still remember. He was really the factor that got the Tea Party going in Madison County. He called me very early on after maybe the first or second meeting and was asking me to speak and at the next meeting. And I was real thrilled because I want to be a part of the Tea Party and just enthused. And I said, man, Danny, I'm so glad that you asked me to come and speak. I really enjoy what you guys are doing and love to be a part of it. And then there was this silence. And he said, well, really what I was calling you about was to see if we could get your bikes. So, my wife Kelly is here tonight also, and we are coming up on 40 years of marriage next month. The only girlfriend I've ever had. She just felt sorry for me. But Kelly has held positions in local government also. She preceded Dan in the treasurer's office and also did a term as commissioner. And way back when we had township assessors, she was a township assessor. I can remember the farmers coming over and getting help from her, sitting around our dining room table because township assessors didn't have offices. And her helping them get their not only save money, but get their forms completed accurately. So we take, at our family, we take the service and others very seriously. And, once you get in office, people kind of sometimes you have good support at the beginning, and then you make a few decisions, and maybe each decision you make might maybe have 10% of the people disagree with you, but every time it might be a different 10%. And I think Rudy Giuliani said it best. He said, after you've been in office a little while and made a few decisions, you wonder if your mom still loves you. And I want to report that my mom, Julie Gaskill, was here tonight. Transparency is very important. What I promised people when I ran was that, look, I'm conservative. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not going to try to soft pedal it. That's who I am. And so when you talk about pro-life issues, I'm going to be there every time. And Indiana passed one of the strongest pro-life bills bills in the country back in 2022. I was part of that. Tried to make it stronger, but we didn't have the votes to do even more than what we ended up with, but it's still one of the best in the country. Second Amendment is another thing very important to me, and you may or may not realize this, but in Indiana, the constitutional carry that we passed a few years ago means that you do not, if you don't want to put your name on the list and the government to know who you are and know that you have a gun, you do not have to have a permit to carry a gun. You just have to not be a prohibited person. Prohibited persons are basically people that are convicted of felonies or have serious mental health history. And so if you do, however, go ahead and get a permit to conceal carry, our law is reciprocal with states that will transfer. So we really have to do some good things for Second Amendment. We've lowered our income tax rate. We put in several years ago triggers, so we want to be financially responsible. And so the thing that we did is, as the state continued to have a strong financial position, each year income tax deduction or reductions would happen. And we're down to, how many can remember when it was 3.4% in Indiana? Can you remember that? Mm-hmm. We're down to 3% on the tax returns that we just filed a few days ago. And it will continue on this path down to 2.9%. At the time we passed it, that put us on par to be the lowest in the country, but other states have got the message and started to reduce their tax rates also. So those are some of the things that were important to me. Another thing, we found that our Medicaid budget was getting out of hand, and we investigated and found there was some fraud in there. We found cases where illegal immigrants were benefiting from it, and we enacted some of the strongest legislation in the country last year to try to quash that. We're going to continue to monitor it and make sure that we shut the door on it. Because I think all of you, probably like me, I don't mind seeing some of my tax dollars go to help people that are U.S. citizens and are poor and need health care. You know, we want to help our fellow citizens, but what we don't want to see our tax dollars going to give benefits to illegal immigrants. We have passed and you get to be the final decider on this. I'll end with this. Looks like we're about out of time. 30 seconds. So Indiana's Constitution is amended by a process that requires a legislature to pass a resolution. An election can happen. The next legislature passes the identical resolution, and then it goes to the voters. And we will have an issue that we passed in the last two legislatures to allow judges to deny bail for violent criminals that pose a danger to the public. And that is, currently, it can only be denied for murder and treason. But as you all know, we have a different breed of criminal today, and so I think voters will pass that. Look forward to sticking around and answering any questions that anybody has, even after the program is over. I'll stay in here until they turn the lights out, and I'll stay with you in the parking lot. Thanks.
I was first going to thank every speaker that you did a wonderful job. State's good point. Thank you very much for that. We will have a Q&A in just a few minutes. I want to apologize to everybody out here because I forgot two things I needed to do, or three things I need to do right away. First of all, John, would you please stand up and give us a prayer?